We all talk to ourselves every single day, all day long. They say we have 60,000 thoughts a day, but here's the problem. They're always the same thoughts. These are the people that have been beaten down over and over and over again, but stayed focused on their goal. You have to understand what you want. And then you have to believe what you want. And once you believe it, then you're on the road to commitment. There's a couple things that keep gravity pulling on you. And the first one are people. And if your skills meet the challenge, that becomes a flow experience. The one thing that people don't do is they set the goal, and they may be clear about it, but they don't ask why. You can't do anything without commitment. You start there, and once you get through the barriers and you realize what's stopping you, then you can say to yourself, look, I'm totally committed. I want to do this. Now, what does commitment mean? If you think about the most successful people in the world, these are the people that have been beaten down over and over and over again, but stayed focused on their goal. You have to understand what you want. And then you have to believe what you want. And once you believe it, then you're on the road to commitment. There's resistance. There's what I call gravity, the gravity of life. And I talk about gravity because I think it's interesting. If you think about day-to-day living, right, there's always something pulling on you. Gravity's always pulling us. There's a couple things that keep gravity pulling on you. And the first one are people whom you associate with. And to understand that the people that you associate with can either bring you up or take you down. And so, if you have a friend who goes to the gym every day and works out, well, pretty much you're going to be going to the gym with this person and working out, and you'll probably be in better shape. If you have a friend who, drinks beer and hangs out, and well, you're probably going to be drinking beer with this guy, right? Also, you're going to find the naysayers in life that are going to tell you that what you think is wrong, or what you're trying is crazy, or how you're doing that is inappropriate. And so you have to challenge those notions. Just be aware of them, because after a while, pulls a little bit, and then you find yourself, why didn't I reach that goal? Well, pretty much because you were conditioned by the people around you. The next thing is the environment. The environment is tremendously important to be aware of, to understand that things are going to happen. The best plans will always be interrupted, no matter what. You have the best plans in the world, and something's going to step in, and it's going to hurt you. So to be able to understand that this is just something that's a barrier, it's not something that kills you, it's something that just stops you for the moment. And so I think that's really important to understand. So that's the first one. Commitment is really important. And if you could take that commitment and take that and keep it with you, and know that things are going to beat you up and pull you down and jerk you around, then you're able to kind of get back on track. You need to be able to keep yourself motivated. So how do you do that? Well, we talk to ourselves all the time. The motivation that comes to you is through your self-talk. We all talk to ourselves every single day, all day long. They say we have 60,000 thoughts a day. I don't know who counts them, but they have 60,000. But here's the problem. They're always the same thoughts. And so if you have the wrong thoughts programmed into your mind, then you're never going to find yourself motivated. And you say positive thinking, yeah, but it really is true, because learning what you say to yourself is really important, because what you say determines how you feel, and how you feel determines how you behave. And how you behave determines the results you get from that. So as you go through this, you always want to program yourself to say the things that keep you on track. It's a very behavioral approach, but it works very well. So you have that. So now you're all motivated, right? You're committed. You have the goals. You're focused on them. But where's the vision? Without being able to see where you're going and imagine where you're going to be or who you want to be, it's very hard to know how you're going to get there sometimes. Very specific imagery techniques. Athletes do it. Astronauts do it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real image and a thought. Okay, so for example, I see the car driving down the street. But if I imagine that car driving down the street, it's the same to my brain. There's no difference. And so if you could program yourself to imagine, this is what we teach very specifically, how you can imagine yourself in that situation, then it becomes very real. And once it becomes very real, then you start to behave in such a way where it does become real. We even get more specific, because this is where people stop there usually with the imagination and the imagery. But we go a little further by teaching mental rehearsal. You learn the imagery techniques and Winning the Leaders, but what I also teach to the next step is very specifically how you do that. And this is what athletes are very good at. Olympic athletes, astronauts, they use mental rehearsal probably more than anybody else in any other field. And what that is, you're taking that imagination, you're taking that imagery, you're very specifically imagining how you get there and what you're doing. And if you can do that, that makes it so much easier, because that becomes very real. Take say astronauts, for example. They would practice in their mind thousands, tens of thousands of times, what they're going to go through, all the contingencies, all the things wrong, what's going to happen. And so they build this in their mind. So they build a construct. Then they took it to the next level where they actually simulated it. And if you talk to, say, Gene Cernan was one of the astronauts in the Apollo program years ago. And I remember he was interviewed, and he said, I just dared that thing to quit on me, because I could have just taken that controls and flew it right to the moon myself, because I practiced it so many times. If you practice it over and over and over again, then you become really good at it, and then you're able to kind of find yourself in that zone. And that's the goal, is to find yourself in the zone where your skills meet the challenge. And if your skills meet the challenge, that becomes a flow experience. And when you start to flow, things become very easy and very effortless. People talk about goal setting all the time. And there's actually, goal setting is a little more complicated than people think it is. There are 7 ways of setting goals. I talk about that in my seminars. The first one is you have to set one. You have to know what you want. You have to be very clear on what's really happening and what you want to do. If you can find yourself setting a goal and not setting too many goals, because some people, what they do is they set too many of them, and they get frustrated because I couldn't do that. They want to lose weight, and they want to buy a new car, and they want to get a new job. And the one thing that people don't do is they set the goal, and they're maybe clear about it, but they don't ask why. And so you have to stack the whys. The real trick with goal setting is not setting the goal, it's really asking why. And if you can ask why and have a lot of whys and stack them really high, then you're able to go back to that when you get thrown off track and that gravity of life throws you off. You always have a why to go to. See, this is why I'm doing this. And then you stay focused on it. Once you can commit to something, once you have the goals and the focus and the self-talk and the imagery and the mental rehearsal and the simulation, if you do all that and you learn how to use those skills, and then you're able to kind of find yourself in that zone. And that's the goal, where your skills meet the challenge. And if your skills meet the challenge, that becomes a flow experience. And when you start to flow, things become very easy and very effortless. If your skill set is higher than the challenge, then you're bored. If the challenge is higher than your skill set, you become frustrated. So meeting those two together at the same level gives you the ability to kind of do something and have it flow smoothly and effortlessly. When an artist paints, things start to flow. When a speaker speaks, the words just come out. When the businessman runs a meeting and things just flow with this meeting, and he controls the situation or she controls the situation, and those things happen, they don't happen overnight. People work at them, but there are strategies to get there. And with our strategies that we have with our company, We found very good results with it.